This idea of liberation mechanics just summed up for me some things that I've been thinking about for longer than I can even remember. And I'm thinking about what's coming next into the world that's going to change the game. And I know it's something. And I think many of you can feel this as well, that there's some big changes coming to our little human existence here, not in the future, but in the moment, like right now. And these things have been bubbling up for quite a while in the laboratories of entrepreneurial basements and the coaching factories of people who found their purpose and have been bringing that out into the world. Some are pandemic 2020 babies, some have been doing it for longer, or some are more recently freed from the bonds of employment and have been forced to figure out themselves. And many of you are service providers where you're really good at what you do and you're tired of working for people who don't care. And you're tired of having clients who don't get it. It's a big population. And I don't know what the number is, but off the top of my head, I'd say at least 100 billion, if not more, of people around the world. This is global, where there's a recognition of something new is coming and I'm in it. And they're saying to themselves, you are like me, and saying to yourself, I'm out of whatever this crap is that's going on around me, and I'm finding a different way. And I don't know exactly what that is, but I want a different way because I don't like the way it is. This is a global movement and a phenomenon that is not going to stop. And I think the world is dividing. I think there's many of us who are saying, no, this isn't negative. This is great. I'm fine with this change because I want to be the change I want to see in the world. I don't want the world to be the way it is. Thank you very much. Let's change everything. There's many of you who are like me who feel that way and are willing to do whatever it takes. That's the difference. It's fine to believe these things. It's another to put the rubber meets the road with action. And for me to put my entire life at risk, my future at risk, back in 2020 to jump off the cliff into whatever this unknown future world is was a obvious decision that had to be made. And it wasn't a practical or smart one based on judging things from conventional logic and wisdom and best practices. So the fact that I already had a business and the fact that I'm old and the fact that I had absolutely no business starting over again and didn't have to, I could have kept what I had, was stupid from the perspectives of people who want to stay safe and play it safe. And I've never been like that. However, there have been more than a few moments where I doubted the intelligence of what I was doing. And I thought, this is insane. I have got to drop all this craziness. In other words, there is a better future possible and go back to what I've got, which is an existing lead generation and sales outsourcing company that's doing okay, and just go for the money and the security and the safety and start putting money back in that retirement account again instead of taking money out of it. And I couldn't do it. I tried. The struggle is between, for me, believing in the opinions of others and knowing what's right for me. And that represents my life journey, the struggle to find my own path forward. And I was taught since I was 5 years old in our society that what I felt, saw, and knew to be true was wrong. That's what I was taught. Whenever I didn't listen and I blazed my own trail in the form of very difficult but successful entrepreneur experiments, I got what I wanted every time. Every time I didn't listen and I went my own direction, I got what I wanted. Every time I did the impractical, stupid thing counter to what I thought I should do because I wanted to fit in, belong, get easy money, whatever it was, whatever I believed in the stories of others, that those things were true for me, I fell off the path to my own prosperity every single time. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And how does this fit with what's happening in the world? Liberation mechanics is my attempt to sort out what's real for me and not in crazy town. And I don't want to live in crazy town, and I don't have to. And neither do you. And a lot of you I know don't want to either because you see through it. What is crazy town? So I started thinking, how do I define this? It's so complex philosophically. I've got to stop speaking like that because no one will understand. And I don't want to be that. I don't want to be Alan Watts or speak like Lao Tzu. I can, but I don't want to because it's not helpful. So, how do I explain crazy town? How do I explain believing things that aren't true? And I think it's really simple. And the concept of the opinion projectors just popped in my imagination. And I'm like, it's an opinion projector. The opinion projectors versus the liberation mechanics. And I'm like, done. There's my action adventure movie right there. And there's a lot of car crashes. So I got to write this movie script. So I started writing a book called The Rise of the Liberation Mechanics. And the rise of the liberation mechanics is what's happening from what I see. What's a liberation mechanic? It's someone who doesn't believe in the opinions of other people. A liberation mechanic is someone who's saying, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense to themselves. And looking around and saying, crazy town, crazy town. This is crazy. What are they talking about? It doesn't make any sense. And other people are like, well, yeah, but he has $100 million company. And you're like, so? He's an idiot. Or somebody else says, well, he's a billionaire. And they're like, yeah, but he's an idiot. And somebody else looks and says, well, but look at her. She's incredible. And you're like, no, she's not. Trust yourself. Trust yourself is the path out of crazy town. And I was like, it's that simple? That can't be true. Believing in the stories of others is what led me into crazy town in 2020. And I'm like, what happened to me? So it's the social media. And I've always listened to myself, beat of my own drummer. That's who I am. I've always been like that. Everyone's going over here, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like this. I wish I could just go along, but I can't. I can't. I got to go over here and do the weird thing that's going to be really hard. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll always do the hardest thing. I've always been like that. People are like, why would you want to do that? I don't know, but I'm going to anyways. Get out of my way. So I would go do my own thing, impractically, in a weird way, a lot of the time, and it always worked. And I always got what I wanted. Whatever I wanted, my life showed up every time. Every time I did the weird, strange thing that was an inner directed, kind of like, I wanted this life. Really, no, it doesn't work like that. You got to go over here. You got to do this. You got to, like, but I can't. I can't. I tried. It didn't work for me. Or I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm going my own way. It always worked every time. That's liberation mechanics. I'm like, oh, there's a thing. There's reasons for this stuff. Liberation mechanics. Like, wow, it's so simple. Pay attention to what I think is true. Trust myself. Know what I feel. Oh, that's it? I don't have to work on my feelings or my mind? No, just know what you feel. Feel it. Oh, that's it? Oh, that's great. Okay. Don't identify with the feeling as a being experience. No, just now I'm getting too philosophical already. I can't help it. That's it. Oh, I felt that. It's real. Of course it's real. I felt it. You're going to run away from the feeling? Why would I do that? No, I'm going to feel it more. That's the answer. Feel it more. No, you got to feel positive. No, no, I feel this. It's real. Feel it more. Oh, what is it teaching me? The learning laboratory of life. The learning laboratory of life taught me everything I need to know. And being in the learning laboratory of life, paying attention to it is the game. So the game is not, for me, what I saw happening on social media when I started paying attention to it in 2020. I use social media like a lead generation system. So when social media started, I'm like, how do I get leads through this? That's all I cared about. I didn't care about it. It was like, how do I get on it? How do I make it work? How do I get the dials tuned? And in 2020, I'm looking around at everything and I saw this whole industry I didn't even pay any attention to around persuasion marketing. And I call these people opinion projectors, the social media influencers that everybody's following on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and all of them. They're all opinion projectors. There's liberation mechanics mixed in. There's quite a few now, and there's more. That's what's happening. The liberation mechanics are starting to take over. People can't see it yet, though. And a lot of people can't see the difference between a liberation mechanic and opinion projector. And I'm like, you better know the difference. You're going to go the wrong direction. An opinion projector is someone who believes they know the answer. A liberation mechanic is someone who knows they don't. That's the fundamental difference. No one knows what's true for another person. So, how is it possible someone can know what's true for me? So, if someone's saying, this is how to live, this is how to do this, they're wrong. They don't know anything. All they know is what they did. And they think, honestly, I think they really do. A lot of these people are good people. They're not scammers. There's a lot of scammers. I'm not talking about that. That's obvious. Everyone can see that. That's you're just plain lying. I'm talking about people who are lying to themselves. So they think they found the answer and now they're popular because everyone likes them. So they had all these likes and accolades and all the money's rolling in. So they're like, oh, it's got to be real. And the money's rolling in. And everybody's looking at them and like, well, I want your house. You don't want their house because you got to live in their head. It's not so great in there necessarily. It's not yours. It's their head. That whole package is them. That's the point. Your package is you. You don't just get the house and the boat and the whatever it is that you want that they have that you're trying to get. And they're showing you how to get it. How? They're using marketing persuasion. So I'm reading all these marketing persuasion books. 2 years of this. I spent 2 years doing this. 2 years, 2020 and I stopped in 2023, the beginning of 2023. And I'm like, I'm doing all this crazy stuff with all these these books about influence and persuasion marketing and social media. Um, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? 2 years. I learned a lot. Cost me 150 grand too. But what I learned was it's all bullshit. And the reason is it's not real. None of it. It's opinion projection. Someone has an opinion because they got something and they believe in their opinion and they're projecting that out into the world and saying, oh, you can be like me too. I found the answer and they believe it. So they're running around. They got the answer. Now they're going to tell everybody. And some of these people are really persuasive. They're great on stage, and they're very persuasive. And they know the tricks of how to get the mind to behave. So these persuasion principles are, if you want to, the best book is Influence by this guy named Cialdini, who figured out some really interesting things that are completely wrong. If you want to think about what you want for your life, if you want to think about how to persuade somebody to do what you want, what he calls principles, which are not principles at all. They're just things that work to get people who are trapped in a mind process because they're suffering or in fear or pain or whatever, to market to them to get them to do what you want. So that book is a good method to do that. And he wrote it because he was being persuaded a lot, which tells me he's stuck in his mind. He's stuck in his thought process. So he's easily persuaded. So he learned how it works, and he did a lot of scientific experiments with kids at Arizona State University. I hope he used another data set, because if your entire data set is based on this, what happens a lot with social sciences and psychology, is the entire sample set are university students. And I'm like, these are the most easily persuaded people in the world, because now they're free. They don't live with their parents anymore. And they don't have a lot of life experience yet. So they believe whatever's right around them. Wow, look at that beautiful woman. Oh my God. Oh my God, look at that. Oh, I can have a castle. Oh my God, look, I can be a social media influencer in 5 minutes. So they're easily persuaded. Now, again, I don't want to trash this guy's work because I know he's a good scientist, but it's bullshit. Completely. The data set's true. Okay, I get it. I get it. All the data, but all right, let's go back to the beginning here. Believing in the stories of others got me off track for 2 years. And I believed that I had to make it on social media to be successful in business. And it came from fear. And the fear was, I'm tired of change. I've been pivoting my whole life successfully since I was young, always. And I'm like, I figured it out. I make a ton of money. I have a stable platform, and then everything changes. Then I got to start over again. And I do, and it works. And then I move on, and it works. And I'm like, I'm sick of this. So I was looking around for this idea of a stable platform, and I found it everywhere. Everyone had an answer: how to oversubscribe your offering, how to create an offer too good to ignore, how to become an authority on LinkedIn, how to become popular on TikTok. And I'm believing this stuff is true because I wanted it to be true, because I wanted an answer to my problem, which had become a crisis, which is, it's expensive to have to pivot all the time when you work for yourself. And I wanted something better for myself. And I didn't want stability as much as I wanted something to be um, fit me. So I'm like, what do I want? That's what really happened in 2020 towards the end. I got into a different phase of life. So I spent my whole life in what I call winning consciousness. So you can map this to, if you know, so the best way, David Hawkins, the guy's name's David Hawkins, he did a book called Map of Consciousness. And you want to understand how stuff works, read the Map of Consciousness books, and you'll really understand power versus force. So it's a scale of 0 to 1,000. This is also can be called Christ consciousness. So 0 is like an insect. 1,000 is Christ or Buddha or Krishna. That they call them the great avatars. They were 1,000. Energetically, they were vibrating so fast they'd explode if they had any resistance to that vibration, and they didn't. Otherwise, it would have exploded. That's how fast that vibration is in human form. So David Hawkins is amazing stuff. He mapped the entire thing. All these in these numbers, they're energetic vibrational frequencies, and each energetic vibrational frequency level has a different perspective. That's the incredible part. So some people see the world as a fearful, horrible place, and they can't handle anything. And I'm like, what's wrong with them? Like, no, that's where they are. That's where they want to be. That's where they're supposed to be. Their job is to work through that. Let them alone. Don't try to turn them into a life of meaning and purpose. That's not what they're looking for. They're just trying to figure out how to get off the couch. People in those vibrational frequencies of grief, apathy, shame, and I've been there. I know what it's like. I was in 12-step programs. I was in psychiatric hospitals. I've been in circles. You ever been in a circle? Everybody's smoking and trying to figure out how not to drink. I spent years in that when I was a kid in high school. I got out of it though, and a lot of them didn't, because that's where their consciousness is. They have a job to do, is to figure out that. Not what I think is right for them. I have no idea, and neither does anyone else, what's right for anyone else in humanity. Nobody can know. It's too complex. So if somebody stands on stage and says, "Hey, I figured it out. Just do this," they're lying to themselves. They're not even just lying to you. They're really not. They believe it. They believe they have an answer. They don't, because it's impossible. It's too complicated. No one knows what's right for me. Everyone was telling me, like, when I started closing down stuff and saying, "I'm not going to that anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not hosting this anymore. I'm not going to these networking events anymore. I'm not going to do Zoom meetings anymore with people." All that stuff. It was like, "Well, how are you going to make money?" I'm going to figure it out because I'm following an inner guided direction. My inner guided direction is not the same as your inner guided direction. It can't be. Mine is mine, yours is yours. That's liberation mechanics. Liberation mechanics is figuring your own self out. Well, what's true then? See, it's almost impossible for some people to get to this because they're so blinded by the social media craziness, the belief economy, the opinion economy. The opinion projectors are everywhere, everywhere, and they're using persuasion marketing, which is really, really effective for people who are trapped in their thinking process and are trying to figure out what's true. It was amazing to me how effective it was on me for a couple of years. And I'm like, this isn't right. I know it's not right. Why am I doing this? Why am I networking? When I did that when I was 17 years old, I started networking. I'm like, why am I going to these networking events with people who have no money that are also networking? Why am I learning how to create an elevator message? Why? I've done this stuff for my entire life. Why am I learning this? It doesn't make any sense. I don't need to do this. Why do I feel like I need to do this? Why do I feel like I have to become popular on LinkedIn or any social media? Why? It's fear. It was fear. It was fear of being left behind. I'm not going to get left behind. It's not going to happen. But I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my own guidance, my own judgment, my own knowing. Because I looked around and I'm like, well, they're more popular than me. I don't have as many likes. I don't have enough proof. And then people would say, well, it's not about likes, it's about quality conversations. And I'm like, I don't have enough quality conversations. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And then it's like, no, it's not about quality conversations, it's about conversions. I'm like, but I don't have enough conversions. What am I doing? Why am I listening to these opinion projectors? Why am I listening to these people? It comes down to fear and money for me. For you, it might be something different. Maybe for you, it's about connection. Maybe for you, it's about isolation. Maybe for you, it's about feeling your purpose will never be realized. Maybe for you, it's about feeling you'll never have a stable platform so you can take care of your elderly parents. Everyone's story is different. The laws and principles of mechanisms that govern reality are not. Those are called first principles. They don't exist just in math. So people say first principles. Oh, you mean like Elon Musk said? No, not. Don't listen to Elon Musk. I'm sorry. Just don't listen to him. He knows what he's doing when it comes to spaceships. Everything else, forget it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He thinks he does. That's an opinion projector, projecting opinion from unconsciousness of not knowing, not feeling connected. That's what that is. There's nothing wrong with them. It's normal. It's just how human beings are. The idea of recognizing my own truth gets to truth. What's underneath, inside, is knowing. What is that? The laws, the principles that are always true, always. There are laws that govern this world. There are principles that work always. We don't decide. I don't decide if this thing falls on my head or not. The law of gravity puts it on my head. I don't decide, "Oh, no, I don't agree with that." That's the opinion projector thing. There's a debate. I'm like, "There's no debate here. It's true or it's not." "Oh, no, there's the left side and the right side." "No, there isn't. There's true or not true." You're confused. You're projecting your opinion because you're talking about stuff you don't understand. If you know the data, say it. That's different. That's somebody who's an expert in something and says, "I've observed this." Robert Cialdini's an expert in influence. He doesn't know what he's talking about, but when it comes to influence, he knows the data. There's two different things there. Knowing truth inside comes from inner knowing. Now we're getting into the deep philosophical stuff, and I do not want to go down that rabbit hole because I'm going to lose everybody. I know it. Every time I do, it doesn't work out well for me. I'm not good at explaining that stuff. What I can explain is observations are important. So the fact that Cialdini did all this work at Arizona State and figured out how to persuade people and why he was persuaded and has created an incredible data set of 7 what he calls principles that aren't principles, but are true in terms of observational knowledge is important. It's good to know how the mind gets tricked with these principles that aren't principles. A principle is something that's always true. I am not persuaded by social proof. I am not persuaded by authority marketing. I am not persuaded by, oh, the worst one is unity. So that's his 6, what he calls principle unity. That's the mind projection. And that's the division of the world into groups. That's projection from opinion of these people are good and these people are not good. That's the inside group and the outside group. The mind projector is doing that. That's extremely dangerous. That leads to genocide. That leads to division. That leads to political division. Don't mess with that stuff in your marketing. Now, I'm not saying he's saying to do that. He's not. He's a good guy. I've listened to him. He's a really good guy. I just think he doesn't know what he's talking about in terms of the deeper stuff because he wouldn't be saying what he's saying if he did. He's correct about his observations as a psychologist, an influencer expert, as a professor. He's got it. He's a good social scientist. He knows the design, experimental design. He knows how to look at data sets. He knows how to observe um, things from a objective viewpoint, like a scientist. That's all it is. So it's good. It's useful. Um, I want to know why people are persuaded. Those people who don't pay attention, but I don't want to persuade them. That's the thing. So you have a choice. You can use those methods and become an opinion projector, a bigger one, or you can become a liberation mechanic. What does that mean? It means find yourself. That's what we're doing. The Entrepreneur Experience project that I'm doing is about that. It's about freedom. It's about liberation from my beliefs about myself and the world that aren't true. It's finding who I am, what I am, why I'm here, why I matter. It's possible for any human being to do this on Earth. It always has been. It always has been. It's just every society has crazy. Every society has opinion projector problems where there's people who have got what people want and they're telling everybody else what's right. And people follow them and they believe it because they want to believe it. They want to believe it's possible. It is possible, but not by following an opinion projector. You just can't do it. If you see somebody on social media, you want to be like them, and you go down that road, you're copying them. It's not going to work. It works for them, particularly if they're marketing. Now, it doesn't work for them really, but it works for them to make money from you and to get them to buy they will get you to buy their stuff. If you're trapped in your if when I was trapped in this fear, I spent 150 grand with people like this. I got nothing out of it. Some of them I learned a lot. I have to say, there's some credible, some I'm still close with. Not that many of them, but A couple people in particular, one in particular, where I'm like, "That was really well spent," even though I didn't get anything out of working with him, but I did get a lot out of his knowledge of principles of communications. This one guy in particular, his understanding of communications for me was profound, and spending that 12 grand with him was worth it over a long period of time, and I did the work. Now, that's possible. You're gonna find people who really get it, and they're great at what they do. It's just, at the end of the day, the only pathway forward is liberation. There is really no other way to get what you want in life by following and copying someone else, and that's law. That's just how it works.